Okay, let's dive in. Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So today we're doing something a bit focused. We're looking at just one source.
hmm
It's an excerpt from an article. The title is Russia, IELTS test now illegal.
Quite a strong title.
It is. And our mission really is to try and understand exactly what this specific source is actually claiming.
Right. What does it say is happening?
Exactly, about the legal status now and the supposed implications if you take the IELTS test or, well, even pay for it if you're in Russia.
And, right away, this source makes some claims that might seem quite startling.
Yeah.
It's not just saying the test isn't available. It's alleging, well, very specific legal trouble for actions that used to be, completely standard.
Right. Standard things like just taking an English test. The source presents the scenario where doing that could potentially be linked to some really serious consequences.
Ah.
It talks about specific penalties that it claims are now tied to the IELTS exam there.
And what really jumps out is how this article excerpt connects these, well, seemingly ordinary actions
Yeah.
to potentially severe outcomes. According to this source, simply being involved with the international IELTS test could now, allegedly, mean fines,
Okay.
or even, it claims, imprisonment for Russian individuals.
So where does the source say this comes from? What's the alleged legal angle?
Well, it points to the Russian Prosecutor General's office.
Okay.
Specifically, their decision to declare the British Council, one of global IELTS organizers, an undesirable organization.
Okay. So the source presents that declaration as the sort of trigger point for these alleged legal consequences.
Exactly. That seems to be the connection the source is making. And the scope it describes is, well, it's particularly broad.
How so?
The article excerpt asserts that even taking the IELTS test abroad, outside Russia,
Really?
abroad, yeah, that's what it claims, that taking it abroad is still considered participation in the activity of this, quote, undesirable organization.
Wow. So that specific claim from the source definitely raises questions about how widely participation is being defined, at least within this particular text.
Precisely. And according to this source, that alleged participation, even abroad, could carry a penalty.
What kind of penalty?
The article claims it could lead to a fine for an individual. Up to 100,000 rubles, it says.
Okay, a fine for taking the test, even potentially outside Russia, according to the source.
But it doesn't stop there. The source also digs into paying for the test, the actual transaction.
Right, paying the fee. What does it say about that?
It claims that paying the test fee is allegedly viewed as financing an undesirable organization.
Financing. Okay, that sounds different, more serious.
Well, the penalty the source links to that specific action, paying, is indeed presented as more severe.
And what is that?
The article excerpt claims that this act, financing, could potentially result in imprisonment for up to 5 years.
5 years just for paying the test fee, according to this source's interpretation of financing an undesirable organization.
Yeah. So if you piece together the picture this source is painting, it's essentially linking activities that, always seem pretty straightforward, taking a standardized test, paying the fee.
Right, very normal things.
Linking those to potentially serious legal actions. And the rationale presented in the source hinges entirely on the British Council's alleged status as undesirable.
So, to sum up what this single article excerpt is putting forward, its core assertion is that taking or paying for IELTS has supposedly been connected by the Russian Prosecutor General's office.
Through that undesirable label for the British Council.
Connected to activities that carry, well, significant legal weight, including, as the source claims, fines for taking the test and potential prison time just for paying for it.
It's quite a set of claims presented in this text.
It really is.
And based purely on what's in this source, here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. The source explicitly states that taking the test, even outside of Russia, is deemed participation. This specific claim found within the article excerpt about this alleged sort of extraterritorial reach of participation.
Yeah.
It's quite striking. It really makes you ponder the definitions and scope being presented in this text.
Definitely food for thought, based solely on this one source. A lot packed into just an excerpt.
Indeed.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.